acquire the skills and apply in our lives. So I want to share with you this classic book that was written in 1963, Nonviolent Communication, by Dr. Marshall Rosenberg. So this book has been reprinted many times, translated into many different languages, and even helped countries to solve their conflicts. It's known to be one of the most efficient way to communicate. Why I want to mention that? Because a lot of times we feel like, I'm not violent, I didn't start a fight, but the words that we use with our family and friends actually bring pain to them. I'll give you an example of my own failed case. For example, I see my 9th grader to be on Discord for a long time, communicating with his friends, and I thought I was communicating politely. I told him, I said, "Aren't you spending too much time on Discord?" That really annoyed him, and he told me, he said, "Mom, you know guilt trip does not work." I recognize my mistake. I did not follow the rules of nonviolent communication. My sentence sounds like neutral. Aren't you spending too much time on Discord? I did not state the fact. I could have said, "Oh, you've been on the laptop for the past 2 hours in a row." So that's fact. So nonviolent communication, number one, is you observe a fact, you state the fact instead of being judgmental. Because I've been judgmental. I told my son that basically you're spending too much time on Discord. So I break the first rule already. And then based on nonviolent communication, I should state I state the fact first. You spend the past 2 hours on laptop. And then feeling. I can explain my feelings. I'm very worried that your eyesight will be negatively impacted. So I share with him openly and honestly my feelings. And then I can share what I value or my needs. I would recommend, your health is very important to me. So I value your health. And then the last step is that I gave a concrete request. Please go outside for half an hour, take a walk so that you can rest your eyes and your brain. So in this way, our communication is very honest, very open, state what we want instead of throwing insults or other things out there that will bother others. My son always remind me, I'm so grateful for my 15-year-old son. He always remind me, he said, "Mom, you have to make sure that even though your statement, what you want me to do, I know is good for me. But if you state it in the wrong tone or wrong way, I feel so offended or attacked. I just want to fight back to defend myself, even though I know what you want me to do is correct." So the same thing happens to the children, to you too. So when you communicate with your parents, recognize whether you're stating the fact without making judgment, and whether you state your feelings. "Mom, when you talk to me like that, I feel very hurt." And also share the needs. I need to communicate with my friends on Discord now a little bit longer than usual because I don't get the chance to see them like I used to in school. And then the request, can I spend, let's maybe agree upon something. Can I spend extra half an hour each day to communicate with them on the WhatsApp or the Discord? So those are the things we can do to make sure our communication is open, honest, and nonviolent. Another rule of communication is a Losada Ratio. Losada Ratio is actually first discovered in organizational psychology. Organizational psychology studies what makes a workplace or organization more efficient. They found out that between the leader and the workers in the organization, if the communication between them are the positive natured communication, such as compliments and encouragements, if they are at least 3 times more than the negative natured communication, such as criticism, or pointed out what you need to improve. At least 3 to 1. The ideal range is 3 to 1 to 6 to 1. So 3 to 1 to 6 to 1. That's when an organization is run most efficiently. So the work productivity is the highest when the communication between people at an organization, positive versus negative, is 3 to 1 all the way to 6 to 1. At home, they did a similar study. They found out that it's about the same, and the ideal ratio is 5 to 1. So whenever you communicate with a family member or friends, applies to interpersonal relationships, friends, if your communication is 3 positive versus 1 negative, or even higher, like 4 positive versus 1 negative, this relationship is very healthy, very healthy. One student asked whether there's such a thing called too much positive emotion. Yes, in this communication, that also happens too. If there's always positive natured communication, such as always compliment and encouragement, no constructive criticism at all, that goes to the other end. So if the positive to negative is 11 to 1 or more, like 12, 13, 14, 15, basically lots and lots of positive feedback and no negative natured feedback at all, and then people become sluggish. They stop making progress. But the key is if it's less than 3 to 1, such as 2 to 1, or even worse, more negative natured communication versus to more negative than positive natured communication, this relationship is going to be like, So that's not good for the relationship. Especially during this current week and the next at least 2 weeks, we are locked in our house. You have to spend 24/7 with our family members. So please make sure our communication, either with your brothers and sisters or your parents, make sure when you give a constructive criticism, which means using the nonviolent communication, point out what they need to improve. Before that, make sure you gave 3 more positive natured communication, such as, Mom, I'm really grateful that you spend time to cook for us when you work at home. Or today you took more time to cook my favorite dessert. I really appreciate that. So that's 1 positive. And then share with your dad that, you take me out to run together with me. I really appreciate that. And you make me feel like a man. So, things like that. And then point out maybe, I feel hurt when you stopped my game in the middle. I understand that I spent the past 90 minutes playing games. I should have told you that my friends and I are playing together. So I should have told you that today my game time is a little longer than usual. But when you shut down the internet right away and cut my game short without me notifying my friend, I feel very hurt and untrusted, and also embarrassed. Tell them how you feel. So share with them your feeling, share with them what you need, and then give the specific request. We'll have a much healthier relationship, much easier time to spend this current few weeks shelter in place. I really love this phrase from the Bible, Ephesians 4:29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Hope that we all communicate those words that build others up instead of hurting others, especially when we are so close to each other physically during shelter in place. And today's assignment is, I want you to pick out 1 hour in the day and keep a log of your communication with parents or your sibling during that time. If you find that your comments of positive nature, such as compliments and encouragements, are less than those of negative nature, such as criticism or insult, please make extra effort to make the Losada ratio, which means at least 3-1, 3 positive versus 1 negative. If you said something that's hurtful to your family member, make sure you say 3 things or do 3 things to make them feel better, to show that you apologize for what you feel guilty for what you did, and you want to make it up, and you still value them. Observe the effect of Losada ratio type of communication on your family relationship. So please try to communicate non-violently, and also keep the ratio of positive versus negative communication to at least 3-1. All right. For those who are watching in front of YouTube, I'll see you tomorrow. For those of you who are on the webinar, I'm going to turn off the recording now so we can go to the Q&A. Thank you again for tuning in to us. I look forward to seeing you again next session.